In 1988, 6-year-old Emma Crawford had the flu. It was the kind of fever that made everything hurt, that turned solid food into an impossibility, that demanded grandmother's care and endless soup. She begged to stay home, to go to her brother's basketball game, to be anywhere but sick at Grandma's house 30 miles away. That fever saved her life, because while Emma slept through her illness that November night, her entire family, parents David and Margaret, brothers Tommy, Michael, and Danny Dash, vanished from their home in Bloomington, Indiana. No bodies, no notes, no explanation, just an empty house with dinner still on the table and a little girl who would spend the next 36 years wondering why she was the only one left behind. November 17th, 1988. Location: Bloomington, Indiana. 2847 Maple Street. The Crawford house buzzed with typical Friday energy. Tommy Crawford, 17, was loading his basketball gear into his gym bag, talking trash about the opposing team. Michael, 15, had his nose in a Stephen King novel, occasionally grunting responses to his brother's chatter. Danny, 13, was attempting to beat Super Mario Bros. For the 100th time, the Nintendo's bloops and bleeps providing soundtrack to the chaos. Margaret Crawford stood at the stove stirring spaghetti sauce. David sat at the kitchen table, reviewing blueprints from his construction job. And Emma, 6 years old and miserable, lay curled on the couch under 3 blankets, shivering despite the fever burning through her small body. "Mom, I'm dying," Emma moaned dramatically. Margaret checked her forehead for the 5th time that hour. 103 degrees. "You're going to Grandma's, sweetheart." "But Tommy's game?" "Will happen without you," David said gently. "Grandma Ruth's expecting us." The drive to Martinsville took 40 minutes. Emma dozed in the back seat, wedged between Tommy and Michael, while Danny made faces at her from the front. She remembered the smell of Tommy's cologne, too much Drakkar Noir, and Michael's hand holding hers when she whimpered about feeling sick. At Grandma Ruth's house, a small brick ranch surrounded by cornfields, Emma clung to her mother's neck. Margaret Crawford was 38, beautiful in that exhausted mother way, her brown hair pulled back, her eyes worried. "I'll miss you tonight," Margaret whispered. "It's just one night," Emma mumbled into her shoulder. Those words would haunt Emma for decades, just one night that turned into forever. November 18th, 1988. Location: Bloomington, Indiana. 8:47 a.m. Officer Jack Brennan had known David Crawford since high school. They'd played football together, been each other's best men, raised kids in the same neighborhood. So when Ruth Crawford called, frantic about her son's family not answering the phone, Jack drove over immediately. The front door was unlocked. Not unusual. Bloomington in 1988 was the kind of place where people still trusted. But the scene inside made Jack's training kick in immediately. The dining room table was set for 5. Spaghetti on each plate, some partially eaten. Tommy's plate was barely touched. Michael's was half finished. Danny had made a face with his meatballs. David's chair was pushed back at an odd angle. Margaret's napkin had fallen to the floor. In the living room, the TV played Saturday morning cartoons. Danny's Nintendo controller lay on the carpet, the game over screen blinking. Michael's book was open, face down on the arm of the couch, spine cracking. Tommy's Letterman jacket hung on the banister. Jack called for backup before checking upstairs. The bedrooms were undisturbed. Beds made, except Emma's with its rainbow bright sheets, waiting for a sick little girl who'd never come home. No signs of packing. David's wallet on the dresser, Margaret's purse on her nightstand. The only thing missing was the Crawford family. November 20th, 1988. Location: FBI Field Office, Indianapolis. Special Agent Diana Foster had worked 18 missing persons cases. None like this. 5 people don't vanish from dinner. She stood in the Crawford house, now wrapped in yellow tape, studying every detail. The spaghetti told a timeline. Based on congealing and temperature degradation, dinner had been served around 7:30 p.m. The family had been eating for approximately 15 minutes when something interrupted them. But what? No forced entry, no defensive wounds on the knives, no blood anywhere. The back door was unlocked but showed no signs of tampering. The family dog, Buster, was found in the backyard, unharmed, his water bowl full. Foster interviewed everyone. The basketball game confirmed Tommy never showed up. His coach had called the house at 8:15 p.m., got no answer. The neighbors heard nothing unusual. Mrs. Patterson next door said she'd seen the dining room lights on around 8 p.m., but thought nothing of it. 6-year-old Emma was interviewed gently, with child psychologists present. She remembered being sick, going to Grandma's, her family waving goodbye. Nothing strange, no scary people, no weird phone calls, just a normal day until it wasn't. December 1988 to September 2024, the decades without answers. The case went national. Family of 5 vanishes during dinner made every major newspaper. Tips flooded in. Sightings from California to Maine, all false. The FBI investigated connections to David's construction work. Maybe he'd seen something he shouldn't have. They looked into Margaret's past. She'd had a sister who died young, but nothing suspicious. Ruth Crawford raised Emma with fierce protection. The media wanted the story of the surviving child, but Ruth gave them nothing. She moved Emma to a different school district, changed her last name to Ruth's maiden name, Mills. Emma Mills grew up knowing her truth, but hidden from those who'd make her tragedy into entertainment. Emma excelled despite everything. Graduated summa cum laude from Purdue. Became a structural engineer like her father. Married at 28 to James, had 2 kids. Built a life on the ashes of her childhood. But she never stopped wondering. Ruth died in 2019, age 91. On her deathbed, she grabbed Emma's hand. "The house," she whispered. "I never sold it. I couldn't. It's yours now. Maybe they left something for you." October 15th, 2024. Location: Bloomington, Indiana, 2847 Maple Street. Emma Crawford Mills stood in front of her childhood home for the first time in 36 years. The city had maintained it minimally. Ruth had paid the taxes religiously, but it showed decades of emptiness. Paint peeling, porch sagging, windows clouded. She'd brought her husband James and a contractor friend, Pete. The plan was to assess, then demolish. The land was valuable now, Bloomington having grown around the old neighborhood, but Emma needed to walk through once more. The key still worked. The door swung open on rusty hinges. The smell hit her immediately. Dust, decay, and underneath, impossibly, the ghost of her mother's perfume. White shoulders, it made her knees weak. The dining room table was gone, taken as evidence and never returned. But the walls remembered. There was the stain where Danny had thrown spaghetti during a tantrum at age 5. The pencil marks on the doorframe marking heights. Tommy's stopping at 6 feet 1 inch, Michael's at 5 feet 10 inches, Danny's at 5 feet 4 inches, and Emma's last mark at 3 feet 2 inches. She climbed the stairs, each creak a memory. Her room was exactly as she'd left it that November day. Rainbow bright sheets turned gray with dust, stuffed animals arranged on the shelf. Her favorite book, Corduroy, on the nightstand. It was in her parents' room that Pete made the discovery. "Emma," he called, "this wall sounds hollow." The master bedroom closet had always been deep, but Pete's trained ear caught something off. Using a stud finder, then carefully cutting through drywall, he revealed a hidden compartment, not large, maybe 2 feet by 3 feet. Inside was a metal box. Emma's hands shook as she opened it. Inside, documents, cash, and an envelope addressed in her mother's handwriting. "For Emma, when you're old enough to understand." October 15th, 2024, 3 p.m. The letter. Emma sat on her parents' dusty bed, James beside her, and read, "My dearest Emma, if you're reading this, then we succeeded in keeping you safe, but failed in everything else. By the time you find this, you'll be old enough to understand why we did what we did. Your father discovered something at the Garrison construction site. Documents that proved the mayor, the police chief, and half the city council were embezzling federal funds meant for low-income housing. Millions of dollars. We went to the FBI, or thought we did. The agent we met was part of it. They came to the house on November 18th. We thought we had more time. Thank God you were sick. Thank God you were with Grandma. They made it clear. We could disappear voluntarily, or they'd make us disappear and take you too. There was no choice. I don't know where we're going. They won't tell us. David thinks witness protection, but I see the truth in their eyes. We won't be coming back. But you'll be safe. That's all that matters. Tell Grandma Ruth we love her. Tell her she was right about David. He was the best man I ever knew. Your brothers are being so brave. Tommy keeps saying he'll protect us. Michael won't let go of Danny's hand. Danny asked if you'll remember us. You were the best thing that ever happened to us, Emma. Every smile, every laugh, every fever we sat through, every nightmare we chased away. 6 years wasn't enough, but it was everything. Don't look for us, sweetheart. Live your life. Be happy. Have children and love them the way we love you. Completely. Desperately. Forever. All our love. Mom, Dad, Tommy, Michael, and Danny. P. Dan from Tommy. I scored 23 points in yesterday's game. Would have been 30 if you were there. Love you, shrimp. P.S. From Michael. Remember when I read you Where the Wild Things Are every night for a month? You are my wild thing. Be fierce. P.S. From Danny. No pepperoni on your pizza, ever. That's a promise. October 16th, 2024. Location, FBI Field Office, Indianapolis. Special Agent Marcus Webb, Diana Foster's successor on cold cases, read the letter for the 5th time. The documents in the box confirmed everything. Photographs of embezzlement records, names, dates, amounts. The corruption had been massive. Why didn't they run? Webb asked. Emma sat across from him, eyes red from crying. Because of me. They knew these people would hunt them down. But if they cooperated, if they went quietly, I'd be safe with Grandma. They traded their lives for mine. Webb's investigation revealed the truth within weeks. The mayor from 1988 had died in 2001, the police chief in 2007. But one name was still alive, former city councilman Robert Henley, 92, in a nursing home in Florida. Henley confessed, without resistance, he was dying anyway, pancreatic cancer. Yes, they'd taken the Crawford family. No, not to witness protection. They'd been killed that night, November 18th, 1988. Bodies buried in the foundation of the new low-income housing that was actually luxury condos. The building had been demolished in 2010. The bodies were under a Walmart parking lot now. They knew too much, Henley wheezed, but David Crawford was smart, said he'd hidden copies of everything, said if his daughter didn't grow up safe and happy, the documents would surface. So we kept our word. We watched from a distance, made sure the little girl was okay. It was a business arrangement. November 18th, 2024. Location, Bloomington Memorial Cemetery. 36 years to the day after they vanished, the Crawford family was laid to rest. The FBI had recovered partial remains from the Walmart site. Not much, but enough for DNA confirmation. Enough to bring them home. The funeral was massive. The story had captivated the nation again. The little girl who survived, now a middle-aged woman, finally learning the truth. Emma stood with her own family, James, their teenagers Jack and Sophie, and spoke about the family she barely remembered but never forgot. They saved me twice, she said, once by sending me to Grandma's when I was sick, and again by sacrificing everything to keep me safe. I spent 36 years wondering why I survived, feeling guilty for being the one left behind. Now I know. I survived because they loved me enough to let me go. She placed 5 roses on the grave. Red for her parents, who loved fiercely. White for Tommy, the protector. Yellow for Michael, the gentle soul. Orange for Danny, who made everyone laugh. And pink for herself, the little sister who lived because a fever kept her away, who grew up to have the life they died to give her. The letter was framed now, hanging in Emma's home next to the last family photo. All 6 Crawfords at Emma's 6th birthday party, 2 months before everything ended. In the photo, they're laughing at something Danny said. Tommy has Emma on his shoulders. Michael's making bunny ears behind Danny's head. David and Margaret are looking at each other with such love it hurts to see. Below the photo, Emma had added a plaque with Danny's postscript, "No pepperoni on your pizza, ever." That's a promise. She'd kept that promise for 36 years without knowing why. Now she knew. Even in their last moments, facing death, her family was thinking of her, loving her, protecting her in the smallest ways. The house on Maple Street was torn down. Emma built a playground there, named it Crawford Park. Children play there now, laughing and screaming with joy, never knowing that beneath their feet once stood a house where a family made the ultimate sacrifice, their lives for their daughter's future. Emma visits sometimes, watches the children play. She thinks her brothers would have liked that, especially Danny. He always said the best sound in the world was a kid laughing. And sometimes, when the wind is just right, when the sun sets at that particular angle that turns everything golden, Emma swears she can hear them. Tommy's laugh, Michael's quiet humming, Danny's terrible jokes, her father's deep voice, her mother singing. Just for a moment, just long enough to whisper back, "I remember. I love you too. Thank you for saving me."